What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spot Show podcast. This is, of course, an independent wrestling podcast with a few pit stops along the way. I, of course, am your host, Jim Mint 10 Dickie Wabash. And listen, I got a special one for you guys here this week. I have got two amazing guests, two of the best in the Midwest. Ladies and gentlemen, MadBash Wrestling Hall of Famer Shank Barzini is here. And of course, there's certain circles you roll in. All you have to do is say one single name. And if you're in the Midwest and you say the name Walt, they know exactly who you are talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for someone that I consider the GOAT. Walt is here, or is Solomon King here, or what are we doing here tonight? What's the plan?
Well, I think we better stick with Walt. Solomon's an asshole. Just straight out.
Okay, that's fair.
To be honest, I'm the reason why everyone calls him Walt.
Okay.
I'm also the reason why everyone calls Oliver
Instead of Donovan.
the game.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man, this is one that has been kind of brewing for a little bit. So all the credit in the world goes to Shank on this one. Shank hit me up a couple of months ago and he was like, listen, man, I got a few people that I think would be amazing for the podcast. And of course, Walt was at the top of the list. And I was like, hell yeah, let's make it happen. Let's do it. And then I decided I wanted to run my own wrestling company, and I became super duper busy with everything else that I got going on. But we finally convened here, and we're all together here. And this is going to be an amazing podcast, man. This is going to be a lot of fun because, listen, the knowledge that both of these men have is amazing. This is going to be some fun stories here. This is going to be incredible. Shank, Walt, again, thank you so much for joining me here. I feel like that you two are incredibly intertwined and synonymous with one another. So I don't know who wants to tell the story of exactly how you guys first met up, if Walt should do the honors or if Shank should do the honors, but the floor is you guys.
Well, I mean, to be honest, there was Walt started before I ever met Walt, because we met either at that TSW or was it AWF?
I think it was TSW is actually where I saw you guys first. Drake Graven put me onto you and Johnny that were working there at the time. I had been working, I started out as a ring announcer for NWC with Bud Chaplin, and then shortly thereafter became the ring announcer for CCW in Evansville. And as I was there, I'm a nosy guy, so I like to, instead of just participating in things, I like to see how things work. So I started going to training with Bud to see how he trained people. And then I started talking to the booker at CCW, Lone Star, great guy, took real good care of me as to how to book shows and to know what's going on. And so I had the itch to book, but I did not have the knowledge. So I decided I would find that knowledge in some of the little backyard feds that I knew that were operating. So I went around to the backyard feds and found
everyone starts in the backyard.
Yeah, I started in the backyard, sort of. So I went to different backyard feds, and there were several that were running it at the same time. There was a group in Fort Branch, Indiana, called AWF, Alternative Wrestling Federation, and they had actually combined 3 other backyard feds. They had taken some people from Fort Branch, some people from Vincennes, and some people from up in Owensboro, and they had combined those 3 feds. At the time, JP Lightning and some of the others were working for a little fed in Evansville called RCF or RCW. And then I started going with those guys and talking to them, and I started booking their shows because the guy that owned that company, he was friends with everybody, and he didn't want to make anyone mad. So he asked me if I would come in and be the bad guy. And so I said, I don't care. I'll just come in and piss people off. That's no problem. So
there's so many stories of this guy wants to be the guy in charge, but he's too nice for the job. There's so many stories. And I do have to say this, it's so funny to hear you say, I went around to these backyard companies and was doing that because, man, like I always make the joke of like, oh yeah, workers are always starting in the backyard, but like it's more than just workers. It's like everyone, it's funny, everyone starts in the backyard, and it's just it all goes back to the backyard. I love it.
So I decided to learn the book. I used them as my experimental company, and then Drake Graben from Vincennes was one of the guys that was working for AWF, and he said, "Hey, I work for a company, this other backyard company, and they're still pretty much backyard, but anyway, TSW." And he said, "There's some guys over here to look." Sorry. Well, I'm just saying.
We talk about TSW a lot on here. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, it is what it is. That company actually got started because of me. The guy that originally bought the ring for TSW was a younger guy. Was the older man that runs it now? I can't even think of his name right now. But anyway, his grandson, they got a settlement of some type, and so he convinced him to go out and buy a ring. But he and another guy from that company wanted to come and work at AWF because Shank and them were coming down. Now, when I went to get Shank, backtracking a little bit, I went up to watch one of their shows, and Shank at that time was not Shank. Shank and Johnny Watts were kind of a circus duo, and Shank was a circus clown at the time with a bowling pin. I don't know what the bowling pin with the circus clown, but that's what he was.
It was a pinhead.
A pinhead.
Okay. So, but I watched them wrestle, and they had some potential. So I asked them if they wanted to come down. Well, when I asked them, the other guy, he and another guy named Bareback Jack had come down to AWF to want to wrestle. And I watched them, but they were not trained well at all. They were not good wrestlers at all. So I was afraid. I put them against each other because I wasn't going to put them with one of my guys and hurt them, and had them wrestle. And Jason was the grandson, was pretty good talker, and he had a decent look. So I told him I would let him be a manager for a while he was training and learn how to do that. And then eventually we'd work into a match where somebody got time in the ring with him. He could be a wrestler after that. He didn't want anything to do with that. He wanted to jump in the ring and do the stuff. And I didn't want them hurting my guys, so I told him I couldn't use him. So at that time, when I told him I couldn't use him, he went and they bought a ring, and that's how TSW got started.
Look at that. Look at that. It's so like hearing your journey that you're talking about here and spelling it all out. It's literally a tale as old as time. Like there are so many people I feel like that in the business, especially in like our position, because not everyone in the business is actually a worker where they get into the ring and wrestle.
Yes.
And finding your niche is very important. So I definitely feel like I said, it's a tale as old as time, that story that you just told of where it's like, well, I went here and did this, and I wanted to cut my teeth here and do this in the backyard. And what's so funny about this is that there's a lot of advice that also just spilled out of what Walt was saying. And you really got to read between the lines with a lot of it as well, because these guys weren't super duper trained, and I didn't want to put them with my guys and hurt them. So I just put them against each other. And it's like, that is such, like, I've seen that 1,000 times. I've seen 1,000 times.
Well, I had guys that were up and coming, that were going to be something, but I didn't want to put them with somebody who drops them on their head and ruins them. And one of the first things I did at AWF was chase about half their roster away and replace them with the guys from RCW and with Shank and them from up there at TSW, the few that I grabbed from there. But I like taking people from different organizations and putting them together and watching them become friends. Because you meet good people in every organization. Of course, you meet assholes. You meet that in any job. But there are also good people. And if I could put people like taking, even though Shank lived in Vincennes, I don't think he had very much contact with Scarlett and JP until we started putting them together. Is that right, Shank?
Yeah, because I was riding with, yeah.
So
before then, I was riding with
Okay, so Shank, we'll let you take over here. Let's put a time frame on this. What year is this roughly?
I
Ooh.
graduated in 2008, so it was 2007.
So then, Walt, you were doing this before like 2007?
Yeah, I
or
started
is
in
this-
about 2003.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
then you guys
I started about 2003.
2007 was it 2006? It might have been 6.
Yeah, I think it was 6, Shank. I don't think it was still 7.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean that puts a really solid time frame on it. I mean, like the mid 2000s time period, I was still very much in high school because I'm a couple years younger than Shank, a few years younger than Walt. Sorry, had to say it. But so Shank,
everybody.
Hey, brother, you've been around the block a time or two. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So Shank, when because you've already told your origin stories on the podcast before, but it's like, Walt was talking about like how you didn't really know these connections until he really linked you guys up. How important was that for you early on in your career?
It was everything. If Walt wouldn't have saved me from TSW, I'd still be working at that backyard fed, probably. Like, this is the reason why I love Walt so much, is just because, like, yeah, everything that I started, he hooked up those connections. I would have never met Oliver if it wasn't for Walt. You know what I mean? Like, for some reason, like he said, he saw a rodeo clown that was 17, 16 and was like, I could do something with that. Why? I don't know. Like, I really don't know. But for some reason, he saw something in me. And then he took me to AWF and I made the connection with JP Lightning and Scarlett. I didn't know this until I met up with them, but I actually went to high school with Scarlett at the time. So really the thing was catch a ride with Scarlett to get to JP's. JP was Evansville. Yeah, it started out like that.
Yeah, that's when you make those connections, it's so weird. But see, here's the thing that, like, sitting back from a third party perspective, looking at all of this and hearing Shank be like, Walt saw something in me and I don't really know what it was. And it's like, Shank, I don't think you realize, like, you have now become the person that sees something in people. Like, I'm not going to go into full detail. I'll keep a little bit of it kayfabe, but Shank and I are a part of a particular group chat where Shank is trying to help people that he has seen, like, hey, I see something in you. Let me give you some advice and do with it what you will. So I guess that's officially the passing of the torch. I guess you're Walt now. I mean, I don't know.
And that's the greatest honor.
Hey, well, I don't know about honor. I don't know whether I'm famous or infamous. It depends on who you ask. But at any rate, I have several little Walts running around because I didn't just train those guys to wrestle and to bring out the best in them. I also taught them how to work with other people and to lift other people up behind them. So there's JP, there's Shank, there's Jasper Jones, Dave Goebel from Owensboro. There's Lumpy, Jeremy Fitch, Spencer
Lumpy.
Wallace. All those guys are guys that I saw something and took under my wing and helped them to see that in others. So for a while there, I was actually booking, because once I booked at AWF, then I became the undercard booker at CCW. And then the guys from Crossroads in Terre Haute came to one of the shows and asked me to come and help them. Charlie Knight did. So then I was booking CCW in Terre Haute, CCW in Evansville, AWF. I was booking, helping Dave up at the time it was SLW, helping him run his locker room and book too. So I was booking all over, and in each room I would try to find somebody that I could take. And then when I stopped booking myself, Shank and Lumpy were booking in IWAU. JP was booking at SNPW. That didn't last long because, well, Sam. That's what I'm gonna say. It's Sam. But and then I had other people that were helping. And so this is kind of, I started in wrestling when I was 40 years old. So I'm out here at 40 years old. I'm obviously too young to start a career as a wrestler. So
Yeah.
I used that, and I wanted to leave a mark behind in wrestling. So those guys that are my inner circle, I call them that, Matt Maverick, all those guys are my inner circle. And then there were others that I had a chance to, there's other guys that I had a chance to talk to, like Mad Rocks. He used to come and watch our shows at Terre Haute at CCW. So those are guys that I had.
I'm just going to jump in here. I'm sorry. I'm just going to jump in here real quick. This is what is so. God, this is such a weird podcast for me, because all those companies that you just mentioned, CCW, Coliseum, iWow, all the other ones, TSW, we have talked about these companies ad nauseum on Spot Show. Like, all you have to do is, like, I know that you guys both check out the podcast and whatnot, so you've heard us mention these places. So what's so funny about it to me is that now we all know who was behind the scenes of the majority of this. It was Walt. So a lot of these places that you hear us talk about, whether good or bad, Walt was involved in it in some way. That's what I'm saying. Like, you've been around the block 1,000 times. It's mind blowing to me.
Well, I've seen a lot of people grow from something to nothing. That's for sure.
Shank,
from nothing to something. I'm just sorry.
Yeah,
Shank, go ahead, bud. Jumping.
What's even like kind of mind blowing to me with all that is like, the dude was 40 years old and was still like grabbing kids and taking them places, and you know what I mean? Not
phrasing.
Sorry, bad phrase. But he was like getting a bunch of guys, younger guys, and like actually spreading, like, you know what I mean, making them have contacts and stuff like that. And like, even further down the story, you'll see how even crazier it gets. Go ahead.
And I was going to say, Walt's talking about all this stuff that you were doing, not only just helping these guys learn how to wrestle or learn this or learn that. That's a lost art, my friend. That is a lost art. You don't see much of that anymore. Wrestling, I mean, I'm not saying it's completely gone, but I mean, you're also talking about here that Walt is doing all of this, helping others, whether it be Spencer, Lumpy, Maverick, whoever, during a very cutthroat time in the business. Very cutthroat.
Very cutthroat. I come from outside, and to me, there's room enough for everybody at the plate. And I'll try to get everybody, a rising tide lifts all boats is supposed to be the saying, but I could not get other promoters to understand it. I tried over and over to work with other promoters to work together so that we didn't run our shows on the same day, that we could all promote each other, that we could help each other out. If they were short a guy, I could send them my guys, all that stuff. And they just wouldn't do it. And that's, in the end, that's why I kind of walked away, because I got disillusioned with wrestling, because I couldn't make that happen.
I get that completely.
It was it was so frustrating. The thing, Shank's phrasing you were talking about earlier, a side funny story. One night I was driving to iWow, and I had JP and Shank and Jasper Jones, Dave Goebel, and Daniel Eads was in the van with me, and we stopped after iWow at a gas station. And at the time, I was driving a white van. So we pulled up to the service station, and they're all in the van. I go into Casey's to pay for the thing, and all of a sudden, they're yelling out the car, "Hey, there's no puppies in here. There's no candy in here." They're all screaming. Everybody at the gas station, when I come walking out the door, is looking at me. I was like, "You bunch of jerks." I tell you what.
That's a good rib. That's a good rib.
It was good. Man. It was funny.
So let's now dive a little bit into, because listen, there's so many stories and there's so much, there's such a wealth of knowledge. I'm trying to steer this ship as much as possible, but I'm having my synapses are firing off real quick here. Walt, do you remember the first time that you and I met?
I think I had, if I'm not mistaken, I think I had come to watch a UCW show, I think, is where the first time that I saw you. And you were managing at the time, I think. UWC. I'm sorry, UWC.
Yeah.
I have too many letters in my head. Sorry.
So you are correct, kind of. We did talk there. The first time that you and I met, I came with Bo Sawyer to IWAU. This is when they were still in Alney. And
right, above the KC Hall. Yeah.
Yes, Shank, you were on that show. And I was going to manage Bo, and he was going to be working this kid named Vinny Balzano. And it was one of the, it was one of the Tuesday shows and all that. I was going to manage Bo. And the whole way down there, I had never done heel work. And I'm thinking, he's like, Dickie. Because, okay, Bo gave me the name Dickie. And he's like, what name you using tonight, kid? And I did not want to use Dickie Wabash. I was dead set against it. Awful. So I'm racking my brain. I'm sitting next to Bo, and here walks up Walt. And he goes, what name you using tonight, kid? And I look at Bo, and Bo has got a shit-eating grin on his face. And I look at Walt, and I go, I'm going to be Dickie Wabash tonight. And then Walt goes into Walt mode, and he goes, okay, here's what we're going to do with you. He said, you're going to go out, and because this was the first time Bo had been back at IWOW since he was Bo Sawyer. He had been Cody Strong. And he was going to be returning as Bo Sawyer. So Walt, and I was still new to the business, literally 3 months into the business, if that. So I don't know if Walt was ribbing me or if he was legitimately telling me this is what he wanted me to do, but I did go out and cut a promo. But anyway, he goes, this is what we want from you, kid. He said, you're going to go out and I want you to be like a Southern Baptist preacher. He said, we're going to get you out there and you're going to talk. You're going to talk like this. And you're going to talk about the resurrection of Bo Sawyer. And I'm just like, who is this crazy guy telling me to go out there and be a Southern Baptist preacher? But guess what? I went out there and did it. Do you have any recollection of that?
I kind of do remember that now. Yes, I do remember that. Each person has their strength and their weakness. It may have been something the way you were dressed that reminded me of it or something. I don't know, but that's just
no clue. No clue.
That my brain goes like yours does. It goes 100 miles an hour, and I make a connection, and I'm like, here's what we're going to do, and let's make it work. So
my other memory from that night involves Shank Barzini. He was in the main event against probably AT. I don't know. And yes, it was. And
that's a heck of a main event.
That's a hell of a main event. That just screams Alney on a Tuesday.
Yes.
That just screams Alney on a Tuesday, brother. I only did one Tuesday Alney show. Anyway, Shank is just being fucking Shank, madman, whatever. And we're in the back. Bo and I are getting dressed. Vinny, we all rode down together, and we just hear boom, and we look, and the entranceway is shaking. And what had happened was Shank was doing the gimmick of where he chased AT out and he threw a chair. And he was, he was all Shank. And then he turns the corner. He's like, oh my God, did I break the entranceway? I love it.
It would not be the first time Shank broke something, that's for sure.
Especially in that building, probably.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing. Shank, the main thing that I had to do with Shank was and this is not a down thing on Shank. When I first met Shank, Shank was really kind of backwards and shy. He didn't say a lot, didn't do a lot. And then we did a program at AWF, and I kind of let the guys have some input into what we were doing. And there was another wrestler named Corbin. Supposedly Shank had kidnapped Corbin's valet, and they were doing this big thing. And I'd never heard Shank cut a promo at all. And he'd never said 2 words. He just went out and did what I told him to do and looked good in the ring, but never said a lot. So then he takes and he says, can I cut a promo? And I was like, well, yeah, if you want to, dude, go right ahead. If you got it in you, go ahead and do it. So then he cuts this promo, and all of a sudden when I hear him doing this promo, I come walking out of the dressing room, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, where the hell did that come from? Because I never heard him do anything, and he was in full Shank mode doing his promo, and he
That was
he
going to
gets
be my
done, and he comes back
question.
and he goes, yeah, he was just doing the voice mainly. So he comes back and he goes, how was that? I said, well, that was great. I said, and I understand what you're trying to do with the crazy thing there. I said, but you've got to make your voice so that you can understand. You're doing too much of the growling. It was hard to understand what you were saying. So can you cut back on that a little bit? I said, but that was awesome. The feeling, everything, the facial, the gestures, everything was great. So after that, I started using Shank to do promos and everything else. And we started working together. And so then we talked to Shank and I asked him, you know, what he envisioned himself as doing. So he was talking about, well, you know, I kind of see as kind of paranoid, kind of this kind of thing, and kind of autistic, kind of that kind of thing. He said, I just want to play something that's totally out of control. So Shank, to give a credit to where credit is due, Shank decided on his own. He went on YouTube and he watched videos of inmates in an asylum and how they acted and everything else, and picked up their gestures and then listening to voices that they heard in their head. And he started coming to do that. So we started going more and more towards that direction, to the point that when I was his manager at CCW in Evansville, he would get ready and he would have somebody beat and he would cover the pin. And I was like, get off of him and act like somebody's talking to you. He'd lean up off of him and act like he's talking voice. And then people were like, pin him. And he's like, hey, no, I don't want to. He's having this conversation. It was awesome. So then it just gradually picked up from there. Yeah. And Shank kind of grew into Shank, because originally when Shank was Shank, he had a mohawk that was like 3 inches tall that he glued on, and he had this elaborate face paint that he put on, and with an anarchy in his face.
The
and
fake
he had
tattoo sleeves.
Yeah, fake tattoo sleeves. He wasn't going to get a tattoo, too young, but he put the fake tattoo sleeves on and tried to get himself going. But Shank was also very agile and did a lot of things that people his size didn't normally do. He would do moonsaults in the corner and do all kinds of things. And so we tried to lean towards that, but we also, with Shank, it was more, he could do what I needed him to do in the ring, but it was more about the personality and the character that he created.
Years and later, I've always said that about you, Shank. I mean, you are, I've said this about Shank multiple times. I know Wes personally. This man has slept on my couch before. But when he walks through the curtain and says, my name is Shank Barzini and I'm going to kill someone tonight, I believe it, even though I know him personally and know that, Shank, you are one of the calmest, kindest individuals on earth. And if you can make me believe it, bravo, brother. Bravo.
Well, that's the other thing about Shank, is not only can he be scary, and I've seen him like chase people out of the arena at CCW at the Coliseum, but I've also seen that Shank can make those people think that he's vulnerable, to where they bring him pet goldfish, they bring him things, and he almost is like a child, that part of his personality, and he just goes back and forth between those two, and both of them are seamless. And the thing about Shank is, like you said, the minute he comes out those curtain, or actually before Shank comes out the curtain, he transforms into the character that he's playing that night, and he does not let it down. I mean, that's one of the things people say mainly about The Undertaker, is that he lived the gimmick. Shank lived the gimmick once he was at the building. He did not come out of it. He didn't change. And that's why he was believable, because he believed in himself. If there's an Undertaker in this area, Shank is him.
I've said that. I guess this turned into the let's just talk about how great Shank is podcast. But
Shank, this is Walt. We're interviewing Walt.
Shank, comment, go on.
Let's talk about Walt here a little bit. And I mean, thank you. But Walt, you were talking about pick up where we were bringing people to CCW and stuff like that. When did Star give you the nod to start taking us down to Nashville for NWA?
Star had gone down. There's a promoter down there. He's passed away now, but Mike Porter was his name. Very cheap guy. But they ran a TV thing every Thursday night. the other guy that was there was Jeff Daniels. He was the booker there, and he and Starr were good friends, and they had been tag team partners before. And Jeff Daniels at one time was the NWA World Tag Team Champion. And so they were very much alike. They wanted to change the way they were doing everything down in Nashville. They wanted to shock people. We had kind of done that at the Coliseum because we had walked away from doing the hardcore stuff that they had been known for doing, but we were still hard hitting, and our wrestlers would beat the crap out of each other, and they were very believable. And at the time at the Coliseum, we had Ricochet, had Chuck Taylor, we had Davey Richards, we had Dingo, we had Kyle O'Reilly when he was training, we had Shank, we had JP, we had Drake Younger, we had Vortex, we had all kinds of people there that were super good. And we had coming from Ohio, we had John Moxley and Cannonball Sammy. Was Cannonball Sammy? Sammy Callahan. Sorry, he's Cannonball Sammy.
Hang on,
always will be.
Well, I got to take a second and pick up all these names that you're dropping right now.
Well,
dude, I've
we
said
learned
that about Oliver. Listen, I've said that about Oliver, of where he just will casually be like, yeah, so then, me and Moxley, like, he was just over there in the locker room and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, he doesn't do any of it as like to be like, blah, 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 but it's just like, just casually talking about these guys. When Harker was on the podcast years ago, he was doing that. Because he was on after Oliver, and he goes, how many names did Oliver mention? And I went, I don't know, a lot. And he goes, I bet I can top it. So Harker Dirge has the record for the most names dropped on this podcast.
I'll leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
Well, the thing that I learned from Starr is you can get more people if you take and you get carloads of people. And what I did was I looked for guys that were good wrestlers but were training others. So Davey had his own group of guys, including Tama and several guys that he helped train. He and Tony Kazina were training. And so he would bring that carload down. Brandon Espinoza had a whole group of people that he was training, and he would bring his trainees down. So I just had different people coming from different directions because I could get a whole carload for a cheap amount of price. And they just wanted someplace where their guys could work every week in front of a crowd to get better. So
how important is the carload? How important is that carload? Because my God,
the carload is, especially for independent wrestling, it is the main way. If you want to have a full card and not break the bank, that is the way to do it. And the thing is, you pick people up that are on their way up, and you can say, to me, when I was young and was just a fan and went to the Coliseum in Evansville to watch people, I saw people before they were anybody. When I saw Undertaker, he was the Master of Pain. When I saw Rocky, when I saw The Rock, he was Flex Maivia. I saw Stunning Steve Austin. I saw all these people that would come in there, and they were mixed in with guys that had names, but they were on their way up. So I can say I saw those people. And I wanted to take, I wanted to take guys like Shank and JP and turn them so that people could say, I saw them win. Just like people came with Ricochet and Chuck. I know those guys when they were 14 years old and they were in there doing their flippy shit and couldn't do anything. But they had personality, and you could tell they were going somewhere. I don't take people and make them into what they can be. I don't take credit for who Shank is. I don't take credit for who JP is. I don't take credit I don't take credit for Davey Richards, obviously. But those guys, I could see in their heart what they were, and I could see the potential in them. And my job is not to make them into my job is to help them reach their potential. That's what I always wanted to do.
I agree with you. I think that that's the sign of any good booker. I think that that's, which, by the way, let me just throw this out there. As everyone knows that listens to the podcast, we're currently in Booker Dickie era. So little did I know that you guys would all be listening to my seminar that I was going to be getting from Walt. But no, like that's the thing here, man, is that you are preaching some real shit. And like, if people think that, it's just old man yells at clouds or old man talking about how it used to be, it's like, well, you're half right. Old man is talking about these things, but it's like, and I say that with love, but it's like, no, man, like, I think that's something that that is really missing a lot. Shank, we'll give this to you real quick, and then we'll throw to ads here in just a minute after you give your thoughts here. I mean, how important is that car load, man? You and I both have learned so much in car loads.
If I'm not sleeping through half of them, car loads is not only do you like learn stuff, you know what I mean, but I mean you get a brotherhood. You know what I mean? It's almost kind of like a weird fraternity and stuff like that. You get to know what people like, what they don't like. You get to learn new music. You know what I mean? But yeah, the car load, like Walt said, it's cheap for one. Two, like, I don't know, you gain a brothership and everything. It kind of makes that brothership easier to work with each other, if that makes sense, because like the psychology of each other is already there, because you know what they like, what they don't like, just by talking to them and everything. So that helps out a lot. Having a white van full of kids under 16 sounds like the greatest idea.
Thank you, Shank.
Well, on that note, let me get through my rigmarole here. Just want to remind everyone that this is, of course, the Spot Show podcast. Each and every week, my friends and I get together and we talk about the wacky world of independent wrestling and everything in between. And we are just getting started here. But listen, if you like what we're doing here, you can, of course, go on over to patreon.com/MadBash Studios. Back us at the $5 tier. There you're going to get all of our content early and ad free. Now, listen, I understand sometimes you don't have the extra money. That's completely fine. There are free ways that you can support us. Go to MadBashStudios.com. There you'll find links to all of our social media. Give us a follow on Facebook. Give us a subscribe on YouTube. Go to your favorite podcasting platform. Leave us a 5-star review. Share this with someone that you think would like what we are doing here. Quick plug ski. Of course, everyone knows MadBash Wrestling Event Horizon is taking place April 25th. We're going to get a little bit more into that after the ads here, because I feel like Walt has got some sage advice for me. Going into my first time as a booker running a show. Listen, I'm going to run down this card real quick, guys, because it is stacked as stacked can be. We've got Beef versus Dalton Davis. We've got Zach Abstract versus Hans Carden. We have got Devontae Knox versus Colby Jack. We have got Spencer Wallace versus Jared Savage, and Aaron Williams versus Oliver Kane. Oh, man, what a card. What a card. You are going to want to be there in Marshall, Illinois, April 25th. More information available on our Facebook page. Listen, if you are not on the Patreon, you are about to hear a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Venom Energy. Hey, we've all been there, and there's nothing wrong with admitting to it. Well, what I mean is that we've all hit that midday slump, and we all need a little push to get us through the rest of the day. Well, what better option to give you a pick-me-up than one of the wonderful flavors of Venom Energy? Venom is what gets MadBash through those long show days, and we know that it can do the same for you. I'm going to sweeten the pot a little bit for you, too. Yeah, come to our merch table when you see us at a show, and with the purchase of a MadBash Wrestling sticker or magnet, you get a Venom Energy drink on us. While supplies last, of course, so you better act quick. We'd like to thank Venom again for sponsoring this episode. Please consume responsibly. Not recommended for children under 18, pregnant or nursing women, or people sensitive to caffeine. This episode is brought to you by patreon.com/MadBash Studios. If you head on over to patreon.com/MadBash Studios, you are helping fund the definition of independent. Hundreds of hours of content starting at just $5 a month. You are going to get early, ad-free access to everything that MadBash Studios has to offer, on top of exclusive shows starting at just $5 a month. That's less than a cup of coffee a month. You can go on over to patreon.com/MadBash Studios and you can support the dream of being unapologetically creative. All right, everyone, we are back here. Listen, this is just a good old-fashioned brothering. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that we're sitting around the learning tree. But here's what's so funny about this is that I keep saying that here's what's so funny about it, here's what's so funny about it, but it's like there's a lot of irony that's going on here and a lot of like full circle stuff that's going on because I've learned a lot from Shank. Shank's learned a lot from Walt, and maybe Walt's learned a lot from me. I don't know. Maybe he's learning how to not do things. But anyway, so of course we talked about it before we went into the ad break here. Of course, MadBash Wrestling Event Horizon is coming around the corner. Breaking news here. Walt is kind enough to be our ring announcer on the evening. So that is going to be a hell of a treat. Shank, I'm pretty sure you're going to be in the house as well.
I'm doing my best. I'm finding connections and everything. I should be there.
Oh, love it. Love it.
Be there.
So here's the thing. Walt was there for technically the first MadBash Wrestling show, which was Ascend the Throne, where we crowned our first MadBash Wrestling champion, Chris Cutler. And I'm going to be a little bit careful here with what I'm about to say, but for those of you on the Patreon who listen to Paige Show, you may have heard me rant a little bit about that show and some of the frustrations that I had. And we've been giving flowers all night here, but I'm going to give another set of flowers because I received a message not long after that Paige Show went up from Walt. And Walt was essentially apologizing to me for like all the trouble that went on during Ascend the Throne. And like, I wish that you would have said something to me. I could have maybe helped you. I could have done that, which I've not had a chance to tell you this. That meant a lot to me. That meant a lot that, you know, you're seeing this young booker who is going bald, or I'm bald already. And you're like, man, he had this bad experience and I really wish that I could help him out. All of that to say, and if this is something that you kind of got to read between the lines a little bit when you tell the story, Walt, as a booker, what is the worst fire that you have had to put out that could have maybe jeopardized the show or could have, Shank's already laughing. Just something that like, and now don't, you know, if you want to avoid names, you can avoid names, but I'm sure you've got a lot of, of course that went wrong.
Let's put it this way. It also involves IWAU.
How'd I know? How did I know? How did I know?
I love Josh Totten to death as a person. Josh Totten is a great person, but much like the booker at AWF, he wants to be everybody's friend and he doesn't want to be a bad guy. So I had to come in and be the bad guy. He had started up, IWAU originally started as an extension of NWC because Josh was one of the trainers for Bud. And so he took, and he wanted to keep in Bud's honor training the younger up-and-comers the same way that Bud had trained him and several other people. So it was an honor to Bud. So we both loved Bud to death. Bud was great to me. Let me tell you this. When you go into this business, you walk in, especially from outside like me, you're walking in, and Shank called it a fraternity. It's closer to a mafia. When you go into wrestling, everybody is connected to everybody. People you don't know are connected to that person. And if you make one misstep, you can be blackballed through everything so that you don't get booked again ever anywhere. And you didn't even know what you did. Bud was kind enough to me that when I came in and started asking him questions, he let me follow him around like a lost puppy dog, finding out how he booked this person, how you handle this, how you handle that, how do you plan the show, what are we doing here? And he let me learn from him. Lone Star was the same way. Lone Star especially kept me from stepping my foot in a big pile of shit several times, because to me from the outside, I'm like, we need to do this. He's like, shut up, Walt. Don't say that. Don't do that. You're going to hurt yourself if you do this. I don't want to see you get yourself in trouble. So don't do that. So Josh had got into a business with John Bach. And at that time, it was IWA Productions. That company still runs with John doing it, but that company ended up splitting and becoming IWA Productions and IWAU. Josh, at that time, had a group of guys there that were doing the booking for him that were on the show. I'm not saying that can't happen, but I'm saying it's a bad idea anytime you do that, because then their friends get pushed, they get pushed, and they are in control, and it's easy to get out of it. Whereas somebody who comes in from outside, whether it's me or Brandon Walker or anybody else, has no game in the fight, nothing to win, can see and look at things from an objective thing and handle things. He was having, those guys were, when you promote a show, you're not promoting this great wrestler and a bunch of has-beens. You're promoting your company. You don't want people to think, hey, they got these two guys and they're really good, but the rest of that crowd is shitty, because you're asking them to do stuff they can't do. You want to promote your whole company. They need to believe that everybody in that company, if they're not now, that they're going to become somebody who's viable to be the champion, so that everybody in there is competitive and everybody goes. That brings more people in, so that you use everybody as a fan base, not just one guy or two guys. There were some guys that were out of control, and Josh contacted me and asked, he said, would you come up and would you be the booker up here? And I said, okay. So I said, do these guys know that I'm going to be taking over the book? He said, well, I thought I'd leave that to you. So
thanks.
I said,
appreciate
okay.
it.
No problem. So at that time, I didn't know Shank was up there working. And I found out that Shank was working at IWU. He was there before I was at IWA Productions. So I came back up there with Josh. I watched the show a couple of times to see what was going on. And I'm not saying those guys are bad guys. Well, most of them anyway. But they really had buried everybody on the show except them and their small group. Even guys that had talent, whether it was Matt Maverick or Shank, that were good, they didn't want them to come in and lift the tide of the show and make them to say, hey, we've got help. We don't have to pull the show on our own. They wanted to be the head of the show, and everybody else was down at this level. They did a lot of good things for production wise and for putting their own money in. But usually when they put their own money in, it was to help them or their friends. It was to pay Davey Richards to come in and wrestle one of their friends or to wrestle one of them. It wasn't to help the whole company. So I took over. I tried to work with the people that were booking and said, hey, Josh wants me to take over the booking at this time. I said, between now and then, do we have storylines we need to finish up? And is there something I can do to get my storyline started so that there's a nice, smooth transition? Wasn't going to happen. So they had hired, the show right before I took over was their swan song. They had hired Davey Richards to come in and work one of their friends. Davey Richards and I go way back to the Coliseum, and Davey Richards knows who I am. You know, and when I told some of those guys who didn't know me, Shank knew me, but those guys didn't know me, that, you know, Davey Richards knew me, they were just like, yeah, right, whatever, dude. Sure, I'm sure he does. Yeah, Jimmy Jacobs, and yeah, just drop those names. Those people don't really know you. So that's the night of that show came in, and Davey came to the arena, and I was there watching, and Davey came in and goes, whoa, dude, I didn't know you were here. He goes, cool, dude. What do you need me to do tonight? And I said, well, actually, Davey, I'm not the one that booked you here. It's these guys over here. And so they come walking up to Davey, and they're like, hey, how you doing, like that? And Davey looks at them and just kind of gives them a look, and he turns around and he says, so what do you want me to do, Walt? And so that went over like a lead balloon. So
listen, this story that Walt is telling, I know exactly who they are. This is a very if you know conversation. I don't know, like, I am Switzerland in the entire thing. I have love for both sides. So it's funny to get to hear the story from another perspective, because I feel like this is a very if you know story that Walt is telling. I know, again, Shank knows because Shank was there, but I know exactly who he's talking about. I have love for those guys. I have love for this camp. I have love for this camp. So to hear this transitional period from another perspective is it's pretty cool, actually.
Well, I know to them it was a rude awakening. I understand that they were not prepared for it or anything else. And I tried to look at that from point. And I don't hate those guys. I don't. And some of them are talented guys, and I don't wish them ill will or anything else. But the thing is, I had to walk a line between what I was trying to accomplish and still give them their propers and try to do that. So I tried to work with them. But when they just threw it in my face, I was like, okay, so I'm just going to have to do what I got to do. We're just going to have a cut. Their storyline's going to end, and I'm going to have to start over.
Yeah.
So,
Shank, did you have a comment?
That's what we plan to do.
Yeah, they had me as a Canadian.
Yeah,
as a Canadian?
He was a tag team partner for Tony Flood. Yes.
Then he was okay. Why is it always Canadians? It's always Canadians. Blake Reed was a Canadian at one point.
I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm pretty much the furthest thing you have from Canada.
When I got there, Shank wasn't even being Shank. He was being, he had a totally different name, and he was just being a regular tag team partner. So the Shank character wasn't even there. So that had to develop. But at any rate, when I got there, I tried to work with them. That didn't work. So then, they were going to stay around. At least part of them were. One of them got mad and left. Which was fine because he was the booker before, and that's fine. He tried to get some of the other people to go with him. Some of them did, some of them didn't. But what I did was look at the crew that I had left. And when you're booking people, especially when you're trying to promote a show, you've got to look at who you have available, and you have to notice what their strengths are and go to those strengths. Don't ask them to do something they can't do. Scott Parker's an excellent wrestler, but did not have a personality. We developed a personality for Scott Parker. If you look at I can't even think of his name now. Shank, help me out. He had the sex change.
Oh, Cole
James. Cole James is one of the worst wrestlers in the world that you'll ever see in the ring, and he knows that. He'll tell you. He'll ask you what's his move. He'll say, I do an arm wringer and I get out. I do an arm wringer and I get out. You ask him what his finishing move is, he says lumpy. So he knows, he's well aware. But he had a personality, and for some reason he could connect to the fans. So I played to that. I didn't ask him to wrestle. I asked him to be Cole and make his connection with the fans, right?
Yeah.
So each one of those guys, I pushed them up. Once those guys left, they thought we were going to flounder and weren't going to do anything. We came to a head where we were doing a show, and it was two of those guys facing each other to change the title. I had explained to them what I wanted to happen. They didn't tell me, but at the end of the match, the next thing I know, the guy who had left comes back into the arena and interjects himself into the match without my knowledge or anything else.
I think I've heard this story before.
And I was pissed because, number one, they changed the finish, and number two, this guy interjected himself. I didn't want him to win by that guy helping him. I wanted him to win this way, so I had storylines set up where I was going. So I was pissed. I did not jump those guys in the mid-locker room in front of anybody else. I called all those guys off to the side. We went back in the concession stand, and I'd let them know that I was not happy. I did not appreciate it, that was not respectful, that I didn't need that. That's not what I wanted to do, that they would, well, we didn't think it mattered. We didn't think what you were not supposed to think. I'm the promoter here. I'm the one that's in charge. When I'm doing the booking, you have to follow my booking things. And some of them, I let know more than others that I was disappointed in them, because some of them had potential to do something and were good guys. But
do you think a lot of it? Yeah. Do you think a lot of it had to do with maturity?
Yes.
Or lack thereof.
Lack thereof. And the thing is, I try to explain those. They were always putting down other guys that came up there because, look, you're not in shape. You're not in shape. And I'm like, none of you guys are in shape. What are you talking about? None of you guys that have a God's body. You're not a Hulk Hogan. Talking about. I mean, it took them 6 years to even begin to have a physique that's working with Josh, that they would listen to him, because Josh knows how to weight lift. Josh knows how to put your body in shape. And it took them 6 years to listen to him to get even halfway in shape. But they're preaching to everybody else, well, you don't look good. Well, you're not this. Well, you're not that. And I'm like, stop burying other people until you look in the mirror, dude. It was just frustrating. And then
a lot of that.
I have a fault in the fact that I let the guys who were loyal to me that were in the back. I let them go too far because I didn't put a stop to it. They were really upset, and they did something they shouldn't have done. But that's the point. It is they were all pissed. They were pissed partially for me and partially for at the guys because they had held them down for so long. But then everything imploded. The thing that I look at that I liked is the guys that did stick around, they were convinced that we were not going to have any crowd anymore because those guys all quit, all left. But it wasn't 2 weeks later, or maybe the next big show that we did, maybe it was 4 weeks, that I had built up storylines with all those. We came in and everybody showed up. We had a packed house. Everybody went riding and everything. And I heard those guys in the back say, we did this. They did that for us. We don't need those guys. We can do this ourselves. And that was the happiest moment in my life, that they realized that they had potential. They could be just the same as anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And it's such a shame because, like I said, that's a very if you know story. And I know all parties involved. I know every single person that was involved in that. And it's a shame to always see stuff like that. But I think that at the end of the day, both parties kind of went off and did incredible things. And I mean, I don't think I'm sure at the time you were heated and like, oh, that blah 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 blah. But it is what it is. We live and learn.
Yeah, and I have worked with some of those people since then, and I've had no issues with them or anything else. And some of the people that were in the locker room, Shank and Oliver, both have had dealings with those people, and it's kind of under the water.
Speaking of Oliver, someone has crashed the podcast here. We have got the Rizzled veteran Oliver Kane has come onto the Spot Show podcast. He's at a baseball field right now. Oliver, welcome.
Welcome, guys. Sorry, I got to put my drink down. It's not a drink.
All right, Donovan.
I haven't fixed my hat a little, going the wrong way. So I'm kind of on this, I found love. But forget it. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh man. So I'm gonna kill the bit here. Oliver is here for a very specific reason. I'm gonna turn it over to Shank because Walt, we've got a surprise for you here.
No. As long as it's not my ex-wife.
No, no, it is not that.
Which one?
Shank, why don't you go ahead and take it away, brother?
Well, you've always meant a lot to me. Your knowledge, just about character and of just like being a man and everything like that. I've really appreciated it throughout the years. For that, not only have I appreciated and others around me, and that is why we, as MadBash, Dickie, and
Oliver and Madrox
and Madrox concussions, would like
My fault.
to introduce you as the second Hall of Fame into MadBash.
Guys.
Congratulations, brother.
Congratulations,
Welcome to the
brother.
MadBash Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. Like I said, you guys, Shank knows, and Oliver may know, I don't have kids of my own, so the kids that I've worked with in wrestling are kind of like my kids. And like I said earlier, they're my legacy. So I really appreciate it.
We love you to death. We love you to death, Walt.
Yeah, you're the absolute man. You've not touched my career to the level that you've touched Oliver's or Shank's, but you do have some fingerprints. Telling me to be a Southern Baptist preacher maybe not have been the best idea in the world. But for that, congratulations, man. You absolutely deserve it. You are, as far as I'm concerned, you are one of the cornerstones of Midwest independent wrestling. It's an honor to put you in our Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate it so much. Oliver, thank you for being here. Donovan, Oliver,
Yeah.
Shank. Thank you guys. And Dickie, I wish I'd been around you guys more. Where you guys were at UWC at the time. I just was kind of burnt out on wrestling, so I didn't come up there. I did come up and watch a few shows, and I love a lot of those guys. Jason B is another guy that I really like that has a great mind for the business, has contributed behind the scenes more than he did in front of the thing, but I love out of death. Cobra, a lot of those guys.
Yep.
Yeah, I give V his flowers all the time, and he hates it when I do it. But hey, the good news is though, Walt, you may not have gotten to do it in the past, but you're a part of the family because you're my ring announcer now. So you kind of got no choice but to be around here. And then yeah, you know, I said it whenever I put Shank in. I was like, listen, because Shank was our first inductee. I was like, listen, there is no Hall of Fame for MadBash without Shank Barzini. And I think Shank would say this, there would be no Shank Barzini without Walt. Yes. So if we're honoring this person, then I feel that it is only right to honor the person that helped build said person that we are honoring. And plus, not even just with your work with Shank, but I mean, like, you know, for the last hour or almost hour, you've been talking about your histories with it. And like, if anyone thinks that we're crazy, which is probably Walt is the one that thinks that we're crazy for doing it. No, man, you have the lineage. This is, it's my honor to have you forever in my Hall of Fame. Truly is.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I do want to say that I very much admire what MadBash is doing. You found a way to go around what I was trying to do and work directly with people by starting out by putting your individual matches on other people's shows and working with them that way. That was tremendous. That was a way to get around it. I'd never thought of that. I appreciate what you guys are trying to do. I appreciate everybody that you guys have put into MadBash, because all of those guys, I can see the same potential in them that I saw in the original groups that I worked with. And I'm glad that they've got somebody being with them. One of the things that Lone Star taught me when I first started was there are people that are in the wrestling business and there are people that think they're in the wrestling business. There are two levels of that. And the ones who are really in the wrestling business laugh at those that aren't, that think they are. Yep. Nobody's ever going to laugh at you guys because you guys are doing something that's building something, you're making something, and you're doing it the right way.
God, someone's cutting onions in here in my studio.
We just need to start a podcast called Old Men Scream at the Clouds, right?
Yes. Shank, do you have a comment?
Yeah. While I got Walt and Oliver on the same podcast right now, and it's it's on a podcast, I just want to give both of them all flowers, all of them. Walt. I didn't really have a dad figure in my life. So whenever you came into my life, you took over, and you've been a father to me ever since. And I want to thank you. Oliver, you've been like a big brother to me. For some reason, you took me under my wing or under your wing. And I just want to thank you for that. And you've been a true brother. I love both of you.
I'm just moving out of the way of the foul balls, guys. I stopped right in the foul ball area, so
leave it to Oliver. Shake's spilling his guts out.
No,
and he's okay, so hang on, guys, I got to move out of the way.
I was just telling so you didn't think I was being a jerk, but I'm moving out of the firing range because metal bats and baseballs are. I ain't trying to get Simon Burke. Remember that movie where Ashley Judd got hit with the bat?
Oh, I'm sorry. That is a deep cut reference. Listen, that's the Spot Show podcast. I mean, like we get sentimental, then we start laughing and quoting Simon Birch. I mean, what else do you want from?
No, I love Shank so much, Walt. I'm excited that you're a part of this. Because you helped me out so much. Check it out, dude. Car promo. But some of my favorite things about Walt is when we'd be at IWAU and these guys that people were paying to come in, and then Like
Oliver, we just talked about IWOW
talking about
right before
Hi,
you got
Walt,
in.
you know, like everybody knows Walt. Walt, you know, the old I used to tell the story about how me and Cliff had the worst luck because we were about to start at Evansville to work with the Dragons and Chuck and Ricochet and all them, and then the fight with Buzz Duck and all that stuff happened, and they were gone the next week. Do you remember that, Walt?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Well,
But no,
then you got to start
yeah,
working with Full Throttle after that. So
was that Davies kids?
yeah, Davy's kids. Yeah, Aaron Scott and I can't remember the other kid's name.
Yeah, was it Brandon?
Brandon Marino. Yeah, Brandon Marino and Aaron.
Yeah. Hey,
That dude was a bull. You called him the bull.
Yeah, we got over with Davey because of that, and that kind of led us to getting some that ROH tryout, which was pretty cool. But yeah, no, it's amazing that you're going to be a part of MadBash. I will always be in debt and just have all the love in the world for you, Walt. Thank you for everything. Yeah, I'm so excited. Like when we did the Shank show a couple years back, you came in and basically I'm like, can you do that? I knew you were there, so I knew that if I put you in charge of whatever, it would get done and get done right because you've always been an example of how to handle stuff under pressure. Because I know a couple of us have booked weekly shows, but compared to what you had to deal with at Evansville, ours was cake. And just you know, the amount of leadership and mentorship that you've given to us could never be repaid. And this is just a small appreciation. And, you know, honestly, I just found out about this. You know, I got the text about, oh, we're doing this to Walt. And I'm like, I got to be on. I got to be on.
Kept this one under wrap.
I was trying just to call in, but he's like, sends me the thing. And I'm like, oh, I got to move around because I'm at a ball game. And yeah, we had to split the teams because Hat Trick Nick is at hockey right now and Ben is at baseball. So it's, you know, it's a lot warmer in my Jeep right now, but I really appreciate sharing this with Shank. And Shank, you know, I love you. And, you know, we could, you know, spend 2 hours talking about how much we love each other and appreciate each other. And it's just a great thing.
That's another podcast one day.
And that's why I told Dickie, I was like, ask Walt. Walt's been itching to do something. And he's needing an excuse to do something because he's been trying to, and these Carney people are just too stupid to utilize good people, and that's what we've been trying to do. Something that we've learned from you, as what you've shown us how to do it the right way, and you know, I love you, man, and I appreciate everything you've done for me, and I can't wait to see you on the 25th. Am I spoiling anything? No, we put the flyers out.
I already said that he was going to ring announce. Yeah.
So, oh man, this is just great to see you because I think the last time I saw you was at that EPW show, Maverick show, right? Yes. So
yes, Maverick show. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But well, all right. I think that's a good high note to end on there, gang. This was incredible conversation. Walt, congratulations. It's my honor to put you in my Hall of Fame. You deserve it and then some. I made the comment about Shank when he went in. I said, not only does Shank deserve flowers, but he deserves every bouquet on earth. Well, hopefully Shank is ready to share because you deserve just as many flowers, if not more. So yeah, this was an incredible conversation. Oliver, thank you for coming on here last minute. I kind of sprung it on Shank and Oliver. I've had this in my head for the last couple of days that I wanted to do this. And I literally told Shank an hour before we recorded. And then I told Oliver 20 minutes later. So,
that's the way it works in wrestling. By the way, you're in the main event tonight, kid. Yeah.
As much as we talk that you hid this from me is phenomenal. You know,
Isn't it though?
Spill it out. So I appreciate that. I respect that because
what if I told you this was my test because Oliver loves to get on me for how loose-lipped I can get sometimes. So I was like, I'm going to prove that motherfucker wrong. And I did it.
You did. And I'm proud of you because like sometimes, you know, when you get excited, we all get excited and we start to put that cart before the horse. And I've tried to like really like hey, don't talk about this yet. Let us make sure we get at least A through, R
Yeah.
before we start telling everybody about everything because, you know how life gets. And
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I like
all
the
right,
purple. I like the purple on you, Walt. So you look real nice.
I
now
always
is
wear
is
purple.
that
It's a mark.
I
is
like the jacket. That's what I like, the jacket.
yeah, you
I just want to say this real quick. I love your wife, Wes Shank, because there's no way in hell my wife would let me put that up in the house. She would tell me no. So I.
It's down in the basement. I gotta take it down after.
Shank's got his big UWC banner up behind him for those of you that don't see the video. What a mark for himself. Meanwhile, I have a Shank Barzini painting behind me, so it is
Yeah.
what it is. But
I have some Shank Barzini paintings at my house that I've been trying to get. You didn't, but they were ones that I think you left with Dickie or someone gave them to me, and I've been trying, but we just haven't been on the same show because it is what it is. But they'll be there on the 25th.
Yeah, Shank's trying to get there on the 25th for sure. So, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Quick little plug ski here. You can, of course, find me on Instagram at DWobsEditBay. The big one, though, April 25th, Marshall, Illinois. MadBash Wrestling is crossing the event horizon. These lovely gentlemen are all going to be there. Hopefully, Shank, you can make it. I know for a fact Walt and Oliver are going to be there. It's going to be a hell of a time. I have at least 3 of you that are going to calm me down when I inevitably have an anxiety attack at some point on the day. I appreciate it. Walt, again, congratulations on the Hall of Fame. You absolutely deserve it. Oliver, thank you for joining us. Shank, thank you for being the middleman that put this whole thing together. This was Shank's idea to even do this podcast interview. So yeah, all the love in the world to every single one of you gentlemen. Love it, love it, love it. We're going to go ahead and get off here. Page show, Oliver, I'm going to get with you tomorrow. Maybe we can record a page show. But yeah, so for everyone on the Patreon, you can hear me and Oliver, maybe me and Oliver, I don't know yet, on page show. But for everybody else, we will see you down the road on some form of content. And yet again, congratulations to the newest inductee into the MadBash Wrestling Hall of Fame, Walter Barrett. Thank you.
Thank you.